Welcome to Longevity Industries' presentation of the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. I, of course, am your host, Dean Phillips. I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Precision Metal Forming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation, for all that they do for us here at the show and all they do for manufacturing. I have with me today Mark Lohmeier, who is, of course, from Fanuc America Corporation, from their CNC division, and he is their Automotive Program Manager. Welcome, Mark.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity here to be a part of the podcast here and interact with our listeners here on different topics of what's going on in the machine tool world today.
Great. So right off the bat, looking forward in your crystal ball, what do you see changing or being the most significant changes coming over the next 5 years?
Well, one of the things that I see in terms of what's going to have to take place here, or what is taking place today in the manufacturing world, is especially in the area of parts machining and assembly and things of that nature, is the adaptation of automation in connection with a machine tool, part loading, part unloading. We as a country need to adapt more and more of that to remain competitive in the world market today. And you take that into accommodation or into affiliation with a lot of the stuff that's going on today. You know, it's what we see in terms of some of the technologies in automation is vision, machine learning. Some people may say, well, what is machine learning? That's an interesting topic. Machine learning is the ability of a machine to understand the process, look at it, run the part over and over, and as it's running the part over and over, improve the process, reduce the cycle time. Machine vision is also a part of that. Machine vision today is much more than looking at a part and saying, is it a good part or is it a bad part? Or is it the right part or is it the wrong part? Machine vision today can look at a part and determine how much material is there. How many passes do I need to take? This comes into play in casting and forging parts. You know, sometimes where those castings and forgings aren't always the same size. To start with, you can eliminate a pass because one part may be smaller in material, raw material that's on there
right
before you start the machining process. Thus, you can eliminate a pass, reduce the cycle time, and so forth. So that's those are some of the big things that I see going on today in what we all have to take into account and to remain more competitive in the world market.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get involved in the manufacturing world?
That's an interesting scenario. My background, first of all, I've been 40 plus years in the machine tool industry. I started out with, at the time, was one of the world's largest machine tool companies, and that was Cincinnati Millicron. It goes all the way back to 1979. I started out as a field service engineer, just doing, break fix service on control systems. Mm-hmm. Worked my way up through the organization. And then in 2004, I started working with a company called GE Fanuc at the time, and then transferred over to Fanuc America in 2010 when GE and Fanuc dissolved their joint venture. And ever since then, I've been all part of the business development team as a program manager. Initially, I was in the aerospace market. Now I'm in the automotive vertical market, focusing on accounts such as Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Hyundai, and their tier one suppliers. promoting Fanuc products, particularly the CNC product line.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I'll tell you what, yours is much the same history as I had. I started off at Niagara Machine and Tool Works, and I was in field service. That's how I started off too. So,
oh boy,
I think that there's something about that. Once you have that experience of dealing with customers, that you add value when you actually get out there with customers on the business development side.
Well, no question about that, because you've been there, you've done the work on the machines, you understand what is happening on the shop floor, what the issues are. Mm-hmm. Understanding when you walk into a customer and the first thing the guy says to you is, how long is it going to take you to fix the machine? We haven't even seen the machine.
Yep.
so anyway, but I agree with you, and that's some of what I think the industry needs to focus on is, showing millennials how to advance within a company and what type of advancement they have available to them through an organization. Hey, if you start at this level, we'll step you through the different organizations of the company to the point where, here's a career path for you within this organization.
Yeah. And I think millennials in general look for that. They want that career, and they want it to be laid out for them. What is it? What is my path to progression?
Exactly. What kind of future can I have with XYZ company?
Yeah.
Where can I go as a future?
Yeah. And you have to kind of show them that, because if you want them to have buy-in, they need to understand, maybe our generation didn't need to have it spelled out for us, but now they want to know, okay, where can I go? And what does it take for me to get there? And you kind of have to spoon feed that a little bit more. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean that more that they want to know up front what it takes to get from here to there. Mm-hmm. And they'll work at it. You need to make sure that you're clear on what your expectations are, more so than they may have with ours.
Exactly. Like you said, back when we started in this industry, things were maybe using the term loosely defined is not the right thing to say, but the things weren't as well defined as they are today on where you're going to go or what kind of a career path you may have.
Excellent. Tell me, what was one of your greatest accomplishments?
One of my greatest accomplishments is one that just took place here recently. I had the opportunity to work with Honda's Anna engine facility on the implementation and purchase of a brand new headline for a new engine that is being developed. And we got, as part of this, Honda really wanted to use Grob machines. Unfortunately, Grob doesn't use Fanuc controls. Over the 2-year process of working with Honda and Grob, we were able to convince Grob to build these machines for Honda with Fanuc controls. And bottom line was Honda now has placed the order for these machines, 37 in total. And we Fanuc were able to win the control business from them. So
That's great.
that was a pretty exciting, and there were times that it was very stressful. But the old saying of, if it wasn't hard, it's sometimes how worth or how rewarding was it at the end.
Mm-hmm. And you feel proud of making that contribution to improving the company too. So Honda,
yes.
that being Honda. So
right, and the result of it is now Grob is now offering Fanuc controls as well as some of my competitors on their machines.
Sure.
So that was a long-term win as well for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and it builds partnerships that are important, I think, in general.
Yes.
Tell me,
yes.
How do you see the landscape changing over the next 5 years for manufacturing?
Well, some of the new technologies that are available today, one of the biggest things that I see changing in the world of manufacturing today is the implementation of additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing today is being implemented, but I think this technology is so how do I want to say so undefined right now that we don't know where all the areas that we can apply additive manufacturing. This technology right now is evolving into areas that I don't think any of us really realized where it could go. And we're discovering new applications in the world of additive manufacturing every day. And I think it is going to change a lot in terms of the face of manufacturing in the next 5 years as it has in the last 5. And the next 10, who knows where this is going to go.
Right. Yeah, additive is just blowing up with opportunities for their products. And as materials evolve, that's really the exciting part, is some of the different materials that most people never even thought about. Wow, can we use additive manufacturing for layering this? Can we come up with ways to do it as opposed to subtractive machining? How do we come up with a way to additively impact this part, and creating parts that weren't even, and still aren't, other than through additive, aren't even possible to make. So it's an exciting time in manufacturing. I gotta say that.
Yeah, some other areas that also are being are still evolving is the implementation of artificial intelligence, or AI, as the term is used a lot, kind of loosely in the manufacturing world, and there's several different areas under artificial intelligence that can be explored. And as I mentioned, one of the ones earlier is machine learning kind of falls into this. Another area is, everybody's talking about the IIoT, Industrial Internet of Things, and collecting data from a process that's going out on the shop floor and analyzing that information and looking at what kinds of bottlenecks may have been discovered and what can we do to fix those. The other area that is being implemented today is some of these, what we call wearables, glasses and devices that you can wear, that when you're working on a machine, it points you in the right direction as to where you need to go to resolve a particular thing, or where you need to go to perform a particular operation. There's some really neat advanced technology out there today that, in association with these wearables, not only can you see what's going on or what you need to do, you can voice interact with the machine, and the machine will talk back to you, and you can talk to it on something that you want it to do. It's that technology right now is, I don't know where this is going to go. It's just, it's so new that I was really astonished when I saw it a couple of years ago. Yeah,
there's a few companies that I've run into, and especially at the FabTech show this past November, what things are happening where you put these wearables on, and there's indicating points either through tags or through a vision system that actually analyzes, says, okay, here's where you are, here's how this is oriented. So I know that that you're standing in front is this, and to the left of that, you make this adjustment here, and it can self-analyze what's going on and also tell proximity and distance because it knows how big the tag was. It may be 1 by 1, 1 inch by 1 inch tag. It therefore can establish how far away you are based on that tag. It's really incredible what technology, and I'm really looking forward to see how companies implement a lot of this technology.
Yeah, and some of the other area where these wearables can be implemented too is some of the machine manuals and the control manuals. You can see all that now on the inside of the lens of these wearables, and it's like, holy smokes, this is really futuristic stuff that, an industry as ours, as conservative as it is and has typically been slow to adapt technology, is being exposed to. And along with the implementation, we were talking about the millennials a few moments ago. Here's a perfect area where this is something that is definitely going to be attracting millennials to this industry. Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think it's important for manufacturing as a whole to get that messaging out, to show this is stuff that's happening now in manufacturing, these new technologies. And that will get them interested at an earlier age using things like robotics and how do we get kids excited? I think things like Vex Robotics, First Robotics have helped a lot to get kids interested in STEM curriculums. And that's how we're going to build our future.
Great point about STEM. I mean, that is also something that we need to work with to bring more people interested in the manufacturing world.
Right. Yep. What are some of the industry challenges you expect over the next 5 years?
Well, one of the challenges that I see is as we just mentioned a little bit, is our industry traditionally has been slow to adapt to new technology. We are very conservative. I look at it as a slow moving big ship that doesn't make any quick turns. We have to look at that and see what we can do to implement this new technology, because without doing that, we're going to continue to have this problem of backfilling people and bringing them in. By bringing this new technology in, we're going to be able to attract more people and adapt them to having an interest in this. And I see that as a challenge for our organizations that are involved in this manufacturing world.
Yeah, and do you see that also carrying over to like the workforce development? I know everybody, there's nobody I hear from that doesn't have an issue with developing their either hiring or getting the right people and retraining them. What are some of the things do you see opportunities coming through that too for us in manufacturing?
I do. For example, like Fanuc does a lot of work with trade schools and technical colleges and the like, and helping them evolve a lot of their educational programs to help adapt what industry is looking for in terms of potential employees coming out of these trade schools or coming out of these technical schools, or even colleges for that matter. This is the kind of stuff that we need to have potential employees prepared to deal with. So with that, we're working with trade schools, technical colleges, and colleges on, hey, these are products that we can help you train these people with and make them more prepared for industry today. Those are some of the things that are part of this challenge throughout the manufacturing process and where we're going for the next 5 and 10 years.
Right. I agree completely. Do you see that with a lot of the younger people getting into it? What kind of things would you give them as far as advice is, looking at a career like this? What if they're looking at advancement and how would they get involved there?
Yeah. Well, one of the first things is we kind of touched on this, and that is STEM. Get involved in STEM at your high school level. And I agree that, first of all, preparing for a career in manufacturing isn't necessarily always a college-bound student. College is not for everybody.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunities out there that don't necessarily require a 4-year degree. If you're somebody that is considering something that as a career in terms of coming into the manufacturing world or have an interest in the manufacturing world, first of all, get involved in a trade school, a technical college. Investigate companies that offer apprenticeships, apprentice programs. Investigate that, and then contact these companies. Let them know that you're interested in manufacturing and you'd like to understand what types of advancement might be there. Look at, investigate how they go about doing this. If you come into a company just off the street, talking to HR, interfacing with them, saying, look, I'm interested in the manufacturing world. I've done this. I understand you have an apprentice program. How can I get involved in that? Companies are dying for people like that.
Right.
And being able to adapt to that. I mean, companies have got they've got a big problem that's about to expose itself, and in some cases it already has. All the people that were involved in manufacturing, the baby boomers, in the next 5 to 10 years, these employees are all going to be retiring, and there's a big void in the terms of the experienced replacements for these guys. A lot of the people don't have that manufacturing experience. Going through these trade schools, these technical programs, these apprenticeships, getting involved with STEM, that is an area that can allow you to make yourself very marketable to a company that is willing to invest some time in you and give you an opportunity to come and work with them and evolve as part of a career path within that organization.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I liked your idea about initiative. That's one thing that I think it's really hard to get the younger generation to feel comfortable stepping out of their comfort zone and saying, hey, pick up the phone and just call this guy. Just pick up the phone and call that company.
Right.
They're like, well, I'm bothering them. No, if you show an interest, trust me, they would love to have somebody that says, hey, I'm interested in your company. I'm interested in the future here. That companies would love to hear that from a potential employee.
Yes. Tell me a little bit more about your organization, something more than what I can learn about looking at your website or doing research on Google or any other of the Chrome or any of the Internet Explorer packages that are out there. Do a little bit of research before you go in to see these guys, but showing the initiative and demonstrate to them that, hey, I'm a viable candidate for you. Demonstrate that you have a good work ethic, not just for going to work, but demonstrate to them that you have a good work ethic across everything that you do. My gosh, companies would be falling at your doorstep to have a conversation with you and wanting you to come work for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. What as far as some of the technology sectors that you see and you come across, I know you're focused in automotive, but what other verticals do you see showing a lot of promise for opportunities for manufacturing?
There's a lot of opportunities out there in the aerospace world. The aerospace world is an area where the commercial airplane industry is having to go through and replace a lot of their planes these days because the new technology that's available, planes are lighter, they carry more people, or they're more fuel efficient. They don't have a choice. They have to go to this new technology because what's available out there today is simply costing them more and more and more to operate these things. Well, just look at the number of airplanes that are being ordered these days or have already been ordered and are yet to be delivered all the way out to 2023 and 2024. They've got to have people to do this. There's an area where you can go to work. All the tier one suppliers that support not only automotive but the aerospace world. There's a lot of opportunity out there in manufacturing. And I've just talked about two vertical markets myself. The medical industry. I mean, look at all of what's available today in terms of machined components that are now being utilized as replacement devices in our bodies. I know that sounds weird. Here we are. We're becoming the bionic man and the bionic woman. Knee replacements, hip replacements, shoulder replacements, all that kind of stuff. Heart valve replacements. All that stuff has to be made on a machine tool. Mm-hmm. Or if it's a plastic piece, the mold has to be made and machined on a machine tool or in the manufacturing world. That's a growing technology. Utilize that. Find out who's out there doing additive manufacturing. Go knock on their door. Say, hey, I want to learn more about what's going on in the additive manufacturing world. And I understand you do that. Yep. I'm very interested in being a part of that.
Yeah, and it's the one thing that I always highlight to students when I've talked to them is the one thing that's changed is not only the opportunity for technology, but the cost of technology is come down so much. I mean, you can get a 3D printer pretty cheap. So if you're a kid and you want to learn additive, there's a lot of opportunities to do this that, you know, you couldn't imagine, 5 years ago.
Yeah. 5 years ago, if you said additive manufacturing, people didn't know what you were talking about. Little did they know that, in a sense, and looking at from a 40,000 foot level, it's the same thing as 3D printing. Only, now they're implementing the additive in being able to apply metal, not plastic, to make a part and replace, like you said early on, multiple pieces now become one piece. And the manufacturing process is a lot of times cut by a third. So it's there's all kinds of technology. There's some examples of different industries that you can get involved with besides automotive.
Yeah. Mark, we're just about out of time, so I'm going to kick into the fun and off-topic questions.
Okay.
All right.
What kind of interesting questions are you going to ask me here?
These are your questions. So these are specific to you and has nothing to do with the industry other than shows your interest in things. So what's your on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a geek are you?
Oh, how much of a geek am I? Well, I really don't think myself as much of a geek. I guess if you had to look at a scale of 1 to 10, I probably be way down on the low end, probably a 2, and at the absolute most, maybe a 3. I'm just not much of a geek. But I do hang around with, and I do interface a lot of my colleagues. Probably would be much, much higher on this geek scale than me personally.
Right.
So, I always try to affiliate myself with someone in that world so that I don't seem so out of it, shall we say.
That's great. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show. Well, my wife and I, we really enjoy watching a show called This Is Us. We like to watch that together, although with my travel schedule, I don't always get the chance to do that with her. But, I will say that some of the movies that I really enjoy watching, I'm kind of a adventure and a mind game and intrigue type of movies. The Jason Bourne series and Indiana Jones series. Those are ones that I can't tell you how many times I've watched the Jason Bourne movies.
That's great. So, if you had to pick gaming or robots?
Oh, well, I'm definitely not a gamer.
Okay.
My kids are gamers. That's a little bit of a different generation than I am. Do I play around with robots? No, not really. The guys in the robot group here under Fanuc, they kid me and say, we don't want you touching that. You might break it.
That's bad when you've got a reputation. Right. And, okay. First computer you ever worked on?
First computer I ever worked on. This goes back a few years. If I'm not mistaken, it was, believe it or not, a Zenith laptop. And back then, a laptop was literally a computer you set on your lap, not a notebook as we know them today, or tablets.
Right.
This laptop weighed about 15 pounds. So that was 30 plus years ago, but gosh, I will never forget that thing. God, I felt like I was hauling another person around with me. Yeah,
it is embarrassing to what we think of as heavy today.
Oh yes. I mean, like today, I use a Microsoft Surface. And I love this thing.
Yeah.
It folds up very nicely. It travels easy. It's got plenty of horsepower. I love this thing.
Right. Probably not more than a few pounds.
But 1.7 actually.
Jeez. Yeah. Quite a world of difference.
Oh, amen to that.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Favorite quotes? Well, as I sit here at my desk, I have a couple of them here posted on one of my monitors. First one is from Sergio Marcion, who passed away here recently. He was the former CEO of FCA. And his is makes me think a lot. And it goes like this. It says, what a person has done in his life should not be measured by what he has achieved for himself, but what he has left for others along the way. And I think about that, and you always think about when I'm gone, what are people going to say? So
yeah,
that's one of them. The other one I have is that I look at, and we've talked a lot about education in preparation for the new wave of people coming into the manufacturing world, and this is by Albert Einstein. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those, on stressful days where I happen to be in my office, I look at those, and it gives me the opportunity to collect my thoughts and think about how I may move forward with a particular situation that I may be dealing with at the time. So
excellent. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you being here, and I want to thank our sponsors, the Precision Metal Forming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation. To listen to other episodes of our podcast, go to longevityindustries.com or wherever your podcast source may be, Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, radio.com, YouTube, etc. Please like and subscribe to the show. We really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks for having me, Dean. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.